Another great story, Pacific Steel Group. Had the privilege of myself and Melinda Brown working with them since over 5 years ago. We got the call and said, hey, we want to build a steel mill in Kern County. We're like, well, when was the last time one was built in the state? What, 50 years now? And they've just been hit the ground running. And Mark and his team have been part of East Kern Economic Alliance, see them at Greater Tehachapi EDC, and they've just been so collaborative. And not every company, sometimes it's in a veil of secrecy, but they were just open and said, how do we get this done? And kudos to the county, their vision, just the Board of Supervisors and Lorelei Ovia, just getting this project moving forward. And Mark is known him for 5 years? So he's a boilermaker, Purdue, and both a civil engineering degree and an MBA from Purdue. 35 years in the steel industry. You want to have not plastics but steel? Ask him. He knows everything about steel and rebar. And he'll talk about the project, but think about this is about a $500 to $600 million project in Kern County, 500,000 square foot building, 400 full-time jobs, 500 construction jobs. So these are economic engines, these stories we're going to hear about, and I'm sure Mark brought some great, exciting slides related to steel, correct? Come on up, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Yes, it's still morning. It's a great privilege for me to be able to talk about this project. I think this project is as exciting as Stratolaunch. Who doesn't love making steel? So we're going to talk a little bit about who is crazy enough to come into California and build a steel mill when steel mills for the last 50 years have left California. So we'll talk about a little bit of the rationale behind that, the method behind the madness. So I think it's always appropriate to talk about who is Pacific Steel Group, because unless you're in the construction world, infrastructure construction world, you wouldn't know who Pacific Steel Group was. But Pacific Steel Group is a California company. We are the largest reinforcing steel subcontractor, or one of them, in the United States, with primarily a West Coast presence. We have approximately 1,200 employees that work in California. About 900 of those employees are union iron workers that actually install fabricated rebar into large infrastructure projects throughout the state. Parking structures, water treatment plants, climate resilience, commercial structures, stadiums. We have participated in construction activities, major construction activities throughout California since 2014. Our corporate office is in San Diego, and we have fabrication shops throughout the state of California, but we go beyond that. We also operate in Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona, but primarily our biggest market is in California. We have a mixture of public and private work. 75% of our work is in the private sector, about 25% in the public sector, and we're continuing to grow our market share, and this being able to manufacture our own steel will help us continue to grow significantly in the Western United States and in California. So let's talk about the issue of not manufacturing steel in the fourth largest economy in the world. If you look at Japan, Japan produces about 90 million tons of steel every year. When you look at Germany, who's the third largest economy in the world, they produce about 40 million tons of steel per year. California doesn't produce a pound of steel, but it is one of the largest consumers of steel in the nation. It's about a 1.2, 1.3 million ton rebar market today in California. And what has happened is the steel makers have left California to avoid obvious issues like high energy costs, regulatory environment, and then mainly the regulatory side of it. I won't go into a lot of details up here. But what happens is, in order to make steel, we recycle scrap iron in metal, scrap metal. And California has one of the largest inventories of scrap metal in the country. In particular, the Los Angeles basin. About 4.5 million tons of that scrap iron and steel get put into containers and shipped overseas. Steel is manufactured, and at times that steel makes its way here. Or it's put in rail cars and trucks and shipped out of state to steel producers that have located outside the state, but they want the California market. But what that has done is significantly increase costs for construction projects, because now we have to go out 700 miles to procure rebar, transport it back into the state of California to fabricate it, and then transport that to a construction project in California. And again, it's a twofold problem, because where these steel companies have located outside the state, they don't have scrap available, or not enough scrap available. So they have to take scrap out of Los Angeles or the Bay Area, transport it 700 miles or 1,000 miles outside the state, manufacture rebar, avoiding the regulatory environment in California, and then they ship that steel back. And unfortunately, Californians suffer for that. We suffer from an environmental standpoint, and we suffer from a cost standpoint. So bringing steelmaking back to California, localizing the supply chain is the right thing to do if you truly care about climate change. So that's how this project was born. The last rebar manufacturer closed its doors in 2019, moved production out of state, and we lost our major supply of rebar. So that's when we decided that we were going to move forward and bring sustainable steelmaking back to California. We're going to locate it in a county that is open for business, like Kern County. It's close enough to our scrap iron and steel supply in Los Angeles. We're going to consolidate our fabrication to this site in Kern County. We're going to produce, fabricate, and transport one time to a job site. So that's the method behind the madness. Thank you. So this project, as you can imagine, when we first spoke with Melinda and Richard back in 2020, I don't know, things have happened, right? Inflation. This used to be about a $450 million project. It's now a $630 million project, but it still pencils. It still makes sense for us to move forward. This is a state-of-the-art steelmaking facility. So a lot of people, when they think steel mill, think smokestacks and pollution and, from the old images from, 75, 100 years ago. It's very different today. And today it's state-of-the-art, it's safe, it's a great work environment for people. We have come a long way with automation and robotics to take people out of those difficult places. We took away the need for strong backs, and now we need strong minds. We have partnered and will continue to partner with the educational institutions in Kern County. We've had some great success. I will say everybody in this county has embraced, Pacific Steel Group has embraced this project, so we're eternally grateful. I would say I don't believe that this could have been built anywhere else in California. It's a huge regulatory process. No corporate steel producer would take the risk to start CEQA to build a steel mill in California. So we're a privately held business, and we are crazy enough to do it. We had confidence we could do it. It's the right project. I don't care who you are in Sacramento, whether your ideology is more left or right, this project just makes sense. So we're going to talk a little bit about the investment. We're going to produce seismic rebar for critical infrastructure and climate resilience projects in California. We'll probably service a little bit in Nevada and in Arizona, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to transport heavy steel long distances. So we'll continue to operate in Washington and Oregon and buy steel up there, but in California, Nevada, and Arizona, it'll be using rebar that's produced right here in Kern County. We're going to localize the supply chain, as I talked about. We're going to utilize renewable energy. There's going to be behind the meter. We're getting ready to finalize a PPA agreement with a major developer. We will have about 60 megawatts of solar, 100 megawatts of lithium battery, and about 32 megawatts of long-duration energy storage supporting this project. Day one, when we bring that online, we'll have 59% of the energy needed for this project will be behind-the-meter renewable. Thank you. So as Richard said, what happens when steel manufacturing leaves a state is all the economic benefits and all the economic activity leave with it. The jobs, family-sustaining jobs, go with it. And what has happened is California has allowed steelmaking to leave, and it has enriched the neighboring states. And unfortunately, California has suffered. So we're going to bring about 400 full-time jobs here. 180 will support the steel manufacturing operation. We'll have about 150 jobs that support the state-of-the-art fabrication side of our shop. So we're going to produce and have automated cranes that will bring steel into the fabrication shop for the fabrication employees to fabricate, and then we will ship that with about 60 truck drivers that move that steel to construction projects in California. And with it, we will set global benchmarks for greenhouse gas emissions, and I'll talk a little bit about how we're going to be able to do that. And I will say, we have been challenged by competitors outside the state of California. Rebar today, 70% of rebar is produced by two companies, Nucor and Commercial Metals, and they have worked really hard over the last 5 years to try to derail this project, but we've overcome. They didn't think California would ever let this happen. So today, they realize, oh, we have a very challenging competitor located in an ideal spot in California. So this is the project. In case you don't know, it is north of Rosamond, south of Mojave, off of Sierra Highway. We have 174 acres that is dedicated to the steel mill itself, and some auxiliary activities like water treatment. And then we have about close to 300 acres additional south of us that we will then develop for our renewable and battery and long duration energy storage. So this is a unique project. We're doing something that has never been done before in the world in the steel industry. And that is, we're integrating renewable energy and storage where we can supply energy directly into our substation to feed our mill. We're not doing this through power purchase agreements and buying electrons off of the Edison or the grid, the transmission grid. We're doing this on our site to directly supply electricity to the project. We have a carbon capture system that once we're up and running and stable, then we want to start capturing our carbon. We'll be able to capture about 90% of the CO2 that is produced in the steelmaking process. We'll have secondary high-efficiency filtration. We'll have wet electrostatic precipitators, non-selective catalytic reduction. It sounds very nerdy, but that is environmental control equipment that has been used in many industries over decades, but never been used in the steel industry before. And we worked for the last 2 years with our OEM to design the system so that we could incorporate those technologies and establish global low levels of emissions for steelmaking. That's why the corporate steel producers didn't want to see this project come to light, because we are going to prove that we can produce steel in a clean way, in a sustainable way. This will have a full melt shop enclosure, zero discharge of fugitives, and this will be the first steelmaking facility that is designed to operate without natural gas. So we are not bringing natural gas to the site. We have electrified processes. We have cold refractory practices. And we are going to operate our electric arc furnace with unshrouded oxygen injection, which is typically shrouded with natural gas. So I have a video, and I'm hoping this works. There we go. Okay. So again, as Richard said, we have 400 plus jobs, full-time jobs once the mill's up and running, and we will have about 515 on average construction jobs for a 2-year period. We peak at about 600 jobs, so we're working on all those plans. We've started construction already. We're going to start excavations by the end of May. So now we'll have to dig deep and then work our way vertical. And 2 years from now, we'll be manufacturing rebar for California. So we're super excited about the project, super excited to be in Kern County, and super excited to continue to collaborate closely with all the stakeholders in Kern County. And we're open for business too, and we want to do business with Kern County contractors, suppliers, service providers. I've put a QR code here for anybody that would like to do business with Kern County, please reach out. There's a form that you can fill out, and that gets distributed out through our organization. So look forward to being here maybe next year with some video on the construction and the progress. Thank you.